All right, the June 23rd, 2025 meeting of the Agenda Charter Committee will now come to order. Will the clerk call the roll?
Chairwoman Barnhart.
Here.
Chairwoman Barnhart is present. Mr. Baynes.
Here.
Mr. Baynes is present. Mr. Blankley. Mr. Blankley is present. Mr. Brew. Mr. Brew is present. Mr. Chardy. Mr. Chardy is present. Mr. Long. Mr. Long is present. Mr. McCabe. Mr. McCabe is present. Mr. Morris. Mr. Morris is present. Mr. Udelson. Mr. Udelson is present.
Is there anyone signed up for the public forum?
There is not.
The next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes. You have the April 21st, 2025 minutes before you. They will stand approved unless the clerk is notified of any changes by the end of the day. The next item on the agenda is new business, Mr. Clerk.
Referral 25-0199, confirmation of reappointments to the Monroe County Recycling Advisory Committee.
Moved by Legislator Blankley, seconded by Majority Leader Udelson. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The item carries. Are there any other items to come before this committee? Well, seeing none, the June 23rd, 2025 meeting of the Agenda Charter Committee stands adjourned, and the next meeting will be held on Monday, July 21st, 2025 at 5 p.m.
2025 meeting of the Environment and Public Works Committee will now come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Ms. Bonnick.
Here.
Ms. Bonnick is present. Ms. Delvecchio Hoffman. Ms. Delvecchio Hoffman is present. Chairwoman Hughes-Smith.
Here.
Chairwoman Hughes-Smith is present. Mr. Maffucci. Mr. Maffucci is present. Ms. McIntyre. Ms. McIntyre is present. Mr. Morris.
Here.
Mr. Morris is present. Mr. Sinclair. Mr. Sinclair is present.
Thank you. Just a little something different. I want to add a moment of reflection. So I'd just like to take a moment to reflect on the tragedy which occurred in Minnesota the weekend of June 14th. In the days since the brutal political assassination, I felt a sense of mourning for Melissa Hortman and those who were close to her, but also a deepening and resolve to be steadfast in the values she so passionately upheld. Melissa Hortman was more than a state lawmaker. She was a force of vision and determination, a leader who helped lift Minnesota to the forefront of the national fight against climate change. Under her guidance, Minnesota passed one of the most ambitious climate agendas in the country, setting bold standards for clean electricity and green technology investment, while also centering environmental justice for all communities. She gave voice to the future, one rooted in science, equity, and sustainability. As public servants, we're called to honor her legacy, but also to confront the means of her death. Representative Hortman was assassinated in her home, a horrifying act of political violence, which tears at the heart of our democracy. Violence has no place in politics. It does not belong in our homes, in our discourse, or in our disagreements. We must reject it without exception. Disagreement is healthy. Debate is necessary. Our democracy depends not on unanimity, but on the unity of purpose, the shared understanding that we can argue fiercely and yet still respect the dignity and humanity of those with whom we disagree. Melissa Hortman stood for courage, for climate justice, and for democratic ideals. Let this tragedy lead us to recommit to the work of building a just and livable future, and to doing so without fear. Let us protect the people that we serve and defend the principles which bind us together. Thank you. Is there anyone signed up for the public forum?
No, there is not.
Is there anyone present who is not signed up to speak who would like to address the committee at this time? Seeing no one, the next item on the agenda is approval of minutes. You have the May 19th, 2025 minutes of the Environment and Public Works Committee before you. They will stand approved unless the clerk is notified of any changes by the end of the day. The next item on the agenda is new business. Madam Clerk.
25-0200. Authorize a contract with LaBarton and Legucci, DPC, for professional design services for the Northeast Quadrant, Gloria Drive, Landfill Improvements Project.
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Legislator Bonnick, seconded by Legislator Maffucci. Is there any discussion?
You have a,
Legislator,
Why don't you ask your question?
yes, I have a couple of
Legislator
questions,
Bonner.
Madam Chair, to the admin. How will this project impact residents and the surrounding ecosystem during and after construction? And I have a couple of follow-up questions after that as well. So could you just answer this first one? How will this project impact residents and surrounding ecosystems during and after construction?
Through the chair, this will improve the conditions there. This is an older landfill that only operated for 4 years. It was done prior to current regulations related to how landfills effectively should operate. So when we do this, we'll be looking at removing the current cap, replacing it with a new cap that meets those regulations, Part 360 through the New York State DEC, Department of Environmental Conservation. And we'll also look at various options for leachate management, which is water filtration that goes into the ground and then picks up constituents or chemicals as part of it. So we have several options that the design consultant will consider, including leachate management, leachate removal, or there's the potential for it around the perimeter to be able to be dealt with. But in each instance, what we will have is a much more ecologically friendly and less concern than we would normally otherwise have, which we have none right now. We monitor it voluntarily as a matter of being a good neighbor and a good steward.
Okay, a follow-up question again, Madam Chair, to the administration. Will the assessment be made available to this body once it's completed?
Absolutely. Master plan was completed for the landfill to look at what the various options that could be considered was. So as this moves forward, this current action that we're requesting from this honorable body would be to move forward with the state environmental quality review component of it. So when that's complete, that will be a public document. It will also include public engagement.
Okay, and one final question, Madam Chair. What is the projected timeline for this design phase and the subsequent construction?
Sure. So through the chair, some of that will still be dependent on the design that's chosen, as well as any environmental factors as we get into it and start finding those. I will just point back to the fact that we have to remove an existing cap. And when that comes off, we'll have a better idea. But I think in general, we've been looking at this being, roughly something that would be done in 2027 when all is said and done and complete. So we would take the rest of this year in 2026 to do the design and then initiate at least the beginning of construction. Construction is kind of a loose term when you're talking about what we're doing here, but that would be something that would be complete in approximately 1.5 to 2 years overall.
Okay, thank you. I yield.
Thank you. Legislator Maffucci.
I'll defer to you.
Okay, Legislator Morris.
Through you, Madam Chair, to the administration, is the current cap like a topsoil and seed, or is it a membrane? What's the physical cap? Is it a type of physical barrier or something right now? And then what are the options? I know it's got to be designed, but what would be the options, I guess, that are being considered for the new one?
Sure. Through the chair, the current, we'll have to get back to you on specifics for the current cap. I don't want to misspeak. And again, that was what the master plan delved into and looked at. So there's some details we can get there. As you noted, though, we'll look to see, but whatever we do, it will be consistent with the New York State DEC Part 360 regulations. And a membrane is definitely something that has to be considered. So it won't just be still the grass, basically sod and seed, because that's no longer available. And we know what the limitations to it are. So we're looking for a very permanent solution. And I would just continue to say that the former landfill is located at 1735 Kennedy Road. The county also purchased 1775 Kennedy Road. We've been very transparent up front with the neighbors there who were raising concerns. And as we brought it to them, that's something that they asked about as well.
So no further questions.
Thank you. Legislator Maffucci.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Through you to the administration, I have a kind of a technical question, so I'll go slow here. There's been some concerns expressed about the wording related to amending the cost of design services. And I want to make sure I kind of understand this. Now, when these projects are put together, there's a budget. And inside that budget, there's a contingency number to cover any cost overruns. So what these referrals are designed to do is give flexibility to the design services. So if those design services cost additional funds,
those funds can be expended without the approval of the legislature, but that you cannot go over the actual full budgeted amount for the project. Is that pretty much correct? Or am I misunderstanding?
So through the chair, this is the initial amount that we want to do to get the seeker done. That will also help us through preliminary design, effectively 30% design. So if I'm understanding the question correctly, that is the initial amount. We do stick with our general rule of thumb. And again, that's all it is a rule of thumb that up to 15% could be needed for the full design. But that will be dependent on each individual project. And again, this is a capping that went on 45 years, a cap that was in place 45 years ago or longer. So we'll have to figure out when we get in there, but we anticipate continuing to be at that 15%, 10 to 15% for the full design, at which point then we can begin construction.
Thank you. I do have a follow-up question through the chair to the administration, because I do want the public to understand this, that when you build a budget, there's contingent dollars in that budget.
Mhm.
And the design number, it may cost more, but if you had to continually to come back to the legislature for approval of that, that could delay the project. So you do have the ability to spend more funding on design, but you cannot exceed the actual total cost of the project. If that became problematic, you'd have to come back to us to ask for more money.
Through the chair, that is correct.
Thank you. That's what I really wanted to get out there, because there's been some concerns around how it all works. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Legislator Maffucci. Follow-up question, though, is, as I understood your response, is there's no fixed legal limit as to, it's just that typically design is 10 to 15%. Is that correct?
To you, Madam Chair, that is correct.
Thank you. And a couple other questions regarding the cap that we seek to install. It's my understanding that a new cap will prevent water from infiltrating into the landfill, thereby reducing the amount of leachate that's coming out of that. Is that correct? Is that our intention?
To you, Madam Chair, that is correct.
Great. And this is such an exciting project. I'm glad that we're moving forward with it, and I think it'll be very beneficial for the community. My second question is related to methane. Will the new cap capture methane? Is that our intention?
We'll have to get back to you with the specifics of that, if that's been determined or what was in the master plan, what it said could be doing that.
You will get back to us in writing?
Correct, Madam Chair, absolutely.
Okay, and then along with that, it would be appreciated if we could have the anticipated greenhouse gas impact, presumably reduction if we are going to collect that methane, which I certainly hope we are.
To you, Madam Chair, we will look into what our options are available for the proper timing of being able to make those calculations. 30% design is preliminary. I would hope that at that point in time, that's when we can begin to look at that.
For certainly, and while I appreciate that, it seems if we can estimate the cost of construction, we can probably estimate the amount of greenhouse gases to be avoided. So look forward to your diligent response. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 25-0201, classification of action, designation of lead agency, and determination of significance pursuant to State Environmental Quality Review Act, SEQRA, for 8-year review of Monroe County Agricultural District Number 5 and District Number 6, and consolidation of Monroe County District Number 6 into District Number 5, forming the Monroe County Agricultural District Number 5.
Moved by Legislator Bonnick, seconded by Legislator Maffucci. Is there any discussion? Legislator Claire.
Through the chair to the administration, what is the reasoning for merging District 6 into 5?
Through the chair, legislator, we'll get back to you on that. I note this is the seeker resolution and we'll have real estate here for the full resolution.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
25-0222. Authorize a contract with CP Ward, Inc. for general construction services for the Rochester Pure Waters District Frank E. Van Laer Wastewater Treatment Plant Electrical System Improvements Project as a matter of importance.
Moved by legislator Bonnet, seconded by legislator Maffucci. Is there any discussion? Legislator.
Through the chair, could you explain why this is a matter of importance?
Through the chair, as you may know, there's a 45-day period which the contractor has to hold their pricing. And in order to meet the 45 days, we need to get as a matter of importance. Otherwise, we would miss that date, and we do not want to risk having the contractor withdraw their bids.
And through the chair, for clarification, the Department of Homeland will be funding 40% of the $6,029,563.30, and local funds from the county will match the 40% that Homeland pays.
Through the chair, that's correct.
Thank you. I yield.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Other matters. Are there other matters to come before the committee? So I have one other matter that I would like to begin adding to our agenda, which is implementation of the climate action plan. And if you turn to the climate action plan, which you might not have in front of you, but I'm happy to direct you to it on our website. Page 47, 55, 59, 63, and 69 all have action items for implementation of climate action plan. And on page 63, it says cap the Gloria Drive inactive landfill. And that is listed as a high impact item. The time frame is short. And so if we're going to follow our climate action plan, then I would expect that our replacement cap would collect the methane emissions. Otherwise, we're not following our plan. So that's just to point that out to you. And then to the administration, just want to ask you about a couple other items. Under buildings and facilities implementation actions, institute procedures and or training to encourage facility managers and municipal employees to improve heating, cooling, and lighting use efficiency. That was listed as high impact, low investment, and a short time frame. Can you give us an update on the status of that work?
I'm sorry, Madam Chair, what referral is this related to?
This is under other matters.
Okay, Madam Chair, customarily when we discuss other matters, we're made aware of them before the meeting. We're not in a position to just answer those questions now.
That's fine. Well, then you can certainly please expect that from now on, we will have other matters listed on our agenda as implementation of the climate action plan that was adopted by this honorable body in 2022.
Madam Chair, I would also request that if there's something specific you'd like to talk about, that you let us know in advance so we're prepared to
Certainly.
talk about that.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay. Yes. This is phase one, facilities and operations. The phase one plan. The Gloria Drive landfill. Yes, is page 63. There being no other matters, the June 23rd, 2025 meeting of the Environment and Public Works Committee stands adjourned. The next meeting of the Environment and Public Works Committee will be held on Monday, July 21st.
The June 23rd, 2025 meeting of the Human Services Committee. Oh, what's it on?
Bang the gavel.
Oh. The June 23rd, 2025 meeting of the Human Services Committee will now come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Blankley.
Here.
Mr. Blankley is present. Ms. Bonnick.
Here.
Ms. Bonnick is present. Mr. Brew. Mr. Brew is present. Mr. Cruz.
Presente.
Mr. Cruz is present. Mr. Dondorfer. Mr. Dondorfer is present. Chairwoman Hasman.
Here.
Chairwoman Hasman is present. Mr. Milne.
Here.
Mr. Milne is present. Ms. Smith. Ms. Smith is present. Ms. Vasquez Simmons.
Here.
Ms. Vasquez Simmons is present.
Is there anyone signed up for the public forum?
No, there's not.
Is there anyone present who is not signed up to speak who would like to address the committee at this time? Seeing none, we'll move on. The next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes. You have the May 20th, 2025 minutes before you. They will stand approved unless the clerk is notified of any changes by the end of the day. The next item on the agenda is new business. Madam Clerk?
Referral 25-0204, amend resolution 221 of 2022 to accept additional funding from the New York State Department of Health and extend the time period for the rabies reimbursement program.
Move it, Madam Chair.
Second.
Moved by Legislator Vasquez Simmons, seconded by Legislator Cruz. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next item, please.
Referral 25-0205, amend resolution 382 of 2018 as amended by resolutions 83 of 2024 and 148 of 2024 to accept additional funding from the New York State Department of Health and extend the time period for the STD testing in Safety Net Populations Program and amend resolution 412 of 2020 as amended by resolutions 421 of 2021, 369 of 2022, 368 of 2023, 83 of 2024, and 148 of 2024 to amend and increase the contract with Rochester Regional Health through its Rochester General Hospital permitted laboratories to provide clinical laboratory services for the Monroe County Department of Public Health.
Move it, Madam Chair.
Second.
Moved by Legislator Vasquez Simmons, seconded by Legislator Cruz. Is there any discussion?
Yes, Madam Chair, I have a
Yes,
couple of
Legislator
questions
Bonner.
for the admin. So, through you, Madam Chair, to administration, I have a few questions here that I would like you to answer. First question, what criteria are used to identify and define high-risk populations?
The populations that show up at our sites are pretty much by definition high risk. We test people who show up.
Okay, thank you. Here's a follow-up question. How many individuals have been screened so far through this program, and what outcomes or trends have been observed?
Through the chair, that's data that I can come up with. I don't have it at the tip of my tongue.
Okay, we'd appreciate that. If you could send that to us. And follow-up question there. Is there a plan to include education or prevention components alongside the testing?
Through the chair, I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Is there a plan to include education or prevention components alongside testing?
Through the chair, yes, that's part of our program. When people show up for testing, we provide education.
Okay, and one final question, Madam Chair. Are walk-in services available, or is testing by appointment only?
Through the chair, most of our testing is walk-in.
Okay, thank you. I yield.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item, please.
Referral 25-0206, acceptance of a grant from the Housing Trust Fund Corporation, a subsidiary of the New York State Housing Finance Agency for the Leading in Lead Prevention Pilot Program.
Move it, Madam Chair.
Second.
Moved by Legislator Vasquez Simmons, seconded by Legislator Cruz. Is there any discussion? Yes, Legislator Milne.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Through the chair to the administration. Is there any type of average cost or estimated total cost of lead abatement for a multifamily rental unit or even a single family unit? And I understand that certainly by the size of the house, number of rooms, et cetera, but is there any kind of number that you could offer of what it normally costs?
Through the chair, no. Essentially what happens is for these particular grant, it's up to $40,000 per unit that is offered. We try to do as much abatement work, which means permanent removal of that. And the serious things, your windows, biteable surfaces, things like that. But like a window or a wall in a stairwell may not be something that needs to be permanently removed, whereas you could spend a lot of money on that, replacing that, but it's not a good use of the funding. So we will work based off of what needs to be done to make sure that the high risk areas are addressed in a more permanent way, and that some of the other areas can be at a lesser cost, but if they're there and they're deteriorated, they still need to be fixed, but maybe a paint job would be okay.
And that's a great response. Thank you. I would ask a follow-up still through the chair to the administration. Again, probably another loaded question, but do we feel that generally the work that we're able to do per unit is pretty adequate, or do we need, and understanding what you're saying through the hallways, et cetera, but are we getting the vast majority of it as best you can tell?
Through the chair, we have not, so this is round 2 of the Leading in Lead grant program. We actually haven't started with our first unit of Unit 1 yet. We have another whole year to finish that. So we haven't actually started that process with one assigned unit. We have done HUD grants in the past where $40,000 will cover a significant portion of that type of thing, replacing all the windows, that type of thing. However, costs have gone up, that type of thing. So there may be some additional owner contributions that will be necessary. There may not, but that's what I can help with.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Legislator Brew?
Yes, to the chair, to the administration. Do you have an idea of what the overhead cost would be? A portion of this is said to fund the salaries and benefits of existing staff as well as other costs to run the program.
Through the chair, up to 15% of that $40,000 can be used towards administrative costs, which would cover what you're talking about. We do try to reduce and put as much towards the housing units as possible, but it is allowed through the grantor to go up to 15%.
Thank you. And through the chair, another question, if you may, to the administration. Do the apartment occupants, are they required to vacate the premises during the remediation process?
Through the chair, there is no requirement. That will also be on a case-by-case basis. Some areas, they may stay at a family, they may need to go to a hotel, and hotel costs would also be covered as an administrative type of fee if they needed to go to a place like a hotel. Sometimes they're doing work in an area where they can seal off, and so they can still live in a portion of the home when work is being done. Obviously, we want to make sure that people are safe while work is being done. Everybody who's doing any work will be certified through abatement and all of those types of things. But if we do need to relocate them, we will.
Yes, thank you. And one more follow-up question to that, if I may, to the chair of the administration. So do they do air testing of parts per million of any lead in the air? How do they actually determine that their work is complete and the lead levels are actually where they need to be on the surfaces?
So through the chair, each unit would go through a clearance process. So lead is heavy. It's like a dust that settles. So it doesn't stay in the air for more than an hour. So there's proper cleaning procedures, and our clearance to go in and take dust samples have to happen at least 1 hour after work is completed. And then we wouldn't allow people back into that area until we get passing results for that. And those are on floors, window sills, and window wells.
Thank you. Your answers are very informative.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Yes, Legislator Blankley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. A question through you to the administration. Has the Housing Trust Fund Corporation indicated any risks to this funding? I noticed a provision in the agreement that we reserve the right to change or modify it as needed. Is that a result of any expected changes in federal funding? Have they identified any of those for us?
Through the chair, we have not heard of any identified issues with this particular grant.
Thank you. I yield.
Yes, Legislator Cruz.
Through the chair to the administration, is there any sort of rent cap for landlords who may be utilizing this program and receiving the $40,000?
A grant, sorry, through the chair,
would there be any sort of rent cap associated with landlords that may receive this funding to fix up their properties?
through the chair, I do not know that answer. I'd have to follow up.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Great. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item, please.
Referral 25-0207, acceptance of a grant from the New York State Department of Health for the Drinking Water Enhancement Program.
Move it, Madam Chair.
Second.
Moved by Legislator Vasquez Simmons, seconded by Legislator Cruz. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item, please.
Referral 25-0208, amend the schedule of job titles by salary group for the Department of Public Health as described and contained in the 2025 Monroe County budget. Authorize the position of Deputy Medical Examiner. Amend and increase the contract for the provision of forensic pathology services. Amend the operating budget of the Department of Public Health.
Move it, Madam Chair.
Second.
Moved by, do we have a move over here? Oh, okay. Moved by Legislator Vasquez Simmons, second by Legislator Cruz. Oh, seconded by Legislator Brew as well. Any discussion? Yes, Legislator Smith.
Thank you. Through the chair to the administration, do you have a candidate in mind to be deputy medical examiner, or will there be a search?
Good afternoon, through the chair. We do not necessarily have a candidate in mind, although likely for the deputy position, one of our incumbent associate medical examiners will take that role.
Thank you. And through the chair to the administration, could you give us a brief summary of what the day-to-day activities would be for the deputy medical examiner?
Certainly. So at a base, through the chair, all the medical examiners, the medical examiner, the deputy, and the associates perform essentially the same job duties on base, which is performance of autopsies, determination as to cause and manner of death. Beyond that, the medical examiner is the division head, so has the administrative duties that go along with that, while the deputy medical examiner is essentially going to be a deputy to the medical examiner to handle those in her absence.
Great. Thank you. I yield the floor.
Any other questions? Further discussion? All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item, please.
Referral 25-0217, acceptance of a gift from the United Way of Greater Rochester, Inc. from Monroe County's Child Poverty Reduction Initiative, Project Prosper.
Move it, Madam Chair.
Second.
Moved by Legislator Vasquez Simmons, seconded by Legislator Cruz. Is there any discussion? I have a question. It's my understanding, and you can correct me, that folks who receive payments of this will not go towards income that will be accounted for assistance. Is that correct? For SNAP, HEAP?
Good afternoon. Denise Reed from Monroe County DHS. I heard just the tail end of the question, so can you repeat it?
Sure. Am I correct in my reading of this that whoever receives funding from this program, that will not be counted as income for assistance for things like LEAP and SNAP?
That is correct. That's the purpose of having the private funding.
Great, thank you. And my next question is, how many people are expected to receive direct payments through Project Prosper?
Right. I can't see who's talking. Is it the chair or something? Okay. Madam Chair, so Project Prosper incorporates 3 separate programs. Each of them have a target audience. So in a population that we're targeting and then a number of people that we'd like to target within each of those. So the first, I'll just go program by program. So the first one, rental subsidy, has the smallest population, must be TAN of household, must live in one of the designated zip codes, must have income at or below 100% FPL. And we intend to serve about 100 people in that program. The next program is our direct cash assistance program for pregnant women. Again, must have a child under 18 and in this case be pregnant, must live in one of the designated zip codes, must have income at or below 100% federal poverty level. We anticipate serving about 200 pregnant women in that program. And then lastly, our upward mobility mentoring program. Same criteria, must live in one of the designated zip codes, must have income at or below 100% FPL. And we hope to serve 700 families in that program, but do hope to serve up to 1,000. So whatever that equals for those three programs is the total amount of people we hope to serve with the funding.
Great, thank you. About 1,000, anywhere from 1,000 to 1,300. My rudimentary math works. Yes, Legislator Vasquez Simmons.
Yes, through you to the administration, how do you plan on administering this program? Will it be administered internally or will we be working with partners, community partners?
So we have several RFPs that have already been issued for this funding. The rental subsidy program has not had an RFP. That's something that we're still working with. But for the other programs, they are in actually various stages of RFPing. And so right now, we actually I don't believe I'm in a position to say the agencies yet. Right, because we're still in contract negotiations. But we will have vendors that operate each program, and we also will have an administrative entity that will support the department in the administration so that we can ensure continuity across the programs. Through the chair.
Thank you. I yield.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Are there any other matters to come before this committee? There being no other matters, the June 23rd, 2025 meeting of the Human Services Committee stands adjourned. The next meeting of the Human Services Committee will be held on Tuesday, July 22nd, 2025 at 5 p.m.
Good afternoon. The June 23rd, 2025 meeting of the Intergovernmental Relations Committee will now come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Miss Bartholomew McCoy. Here. Miss Bartholomew McCoy is present. Chairman Blankley.
Here.
Chairman Blankley is present. Mr. Johns. Mr. Johns is present. Mr. Long.
Here.
Mr. Long is present. Miss McIntyre. Miss McIntyre is present.
Is there anyone signed up for the public forum?
Yes, there is. You will have 2 minutes in which to address the committee. Also, please do not bring up any signs or props. Do not single out any legislator individually, and please conclude when the buzzer sounds. Our first two speakers are Ronald Garrow and Christopher Snyder.
Just checking to see, is there anyone else in attendance? Typical.
if you don't want to speak, you don't have to. This is just the committee that we had to sign up for.
All right, okay. Sorry about
No, that's okay.
Fair enough. All right, thank you. Is there anyone present who is not signed up to speak who would like to address the committee at this time? Seeing none, the next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes. You have the May 19th, 2025 minutes of the Intergovernmental Relations Committee before you. They will stand approved unless the clerk is notified of any changes by the end of the day. Next item on the agenda is new business. Madam Clerk.
Referral 25-0209, authorize an intermunicipal agreement with the town of Brighton for the Allens Creek Road, Culver Street, Elmwood Avenue, and Westfall Road Sidewalk Extension Project, partially funded through Monroe County. Appropriate committed fund balance and authorize an interfund transfer.
Move it.
Second.
Moved by legislator Long, seconded by legislator Bartholomew McCoy. Is there any discussion? Legislator McIntyre.
Through the chair, spring through fall of 25.
Anything else, legislator McIntyre? Excellent. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 25-0210, authorize an intermunicipal agreement with the town of Greece for the Flynn Road, Cunn Road, Long Pond Road, and Mill Road Sidewalk Extension Project, partially funded through Monroe County. Appropriate committed fund balance and authorize an interfund transfer.
Move it.
Second.
Moved by legislator Long, seconded by legislator Bartholomew McCoy. Is there any discussion? Legislator McIntyre?
Through the chair, I believe it's spring through fall of 26.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 25-0211, authorize an intermunicipal agreement with the town of Pittsford for the Barker Road Sidewalk Extension Project, partially funded through Monroe County. Appropriate committed fund balance and authorize an interfund transfer.
Move it.
Second.
Moved by legislator Long, seconded by legislator Bartholomew McCoy. Any discussion? Legislator McIntyre.
Through the chair, spring through fall of 25.
Thank you very much. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Are there any other matters to come before this committee? Seeing none, the June 23rd, 2025 meeting of the Intergovernmental Relations Committee stands adjourned. The next meeting of the Intergovernmental Relations Committee meeting will be held Monday, July 21st at 5:30 p.m.
The June 23rd, 2025 meeting of the Planning and Economic Development Committee will now come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Chardy. Mr. Chardy is present. Mr. Cruz. Mr. Cruz is present. Chairman Frazier.
Here.
Chairman Frazier is present. Ms. Hasman. Here. Ms. Hasman is present. Mr. McCabe. Mr. McCabe is present.
Is there anyone signed up for the public forum?
No, there is not.
Is there anyone present who is not signed up to speak who would like to address the committee at this time? The next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes. You have before you the May 19th, 2025 minutes of the Planning and Economic Development Committee before you. They will stand approved unless the clerk is notified of any changes by the end of the day. The next item on the agenda is new business. Madam Clerk.
25-0202, 8-year review of Monroe County Agricultural District Number 5 and District Number 6, and consolidation of Monroe County District Number 6 into District Number 5, forming Monroe County Agricultural District Number 5.
Second.
Moved by legislator Cruz, seconded by legislator Hasman. Is there any discussion? Yes, legislator Chardy.
Oh, sorry. Yes, to the chair, can you explain the reasoning for consolidating number 6 and number 5 of the agricultural districts?
Through the chair, oh, excuse me, through the chair, the reason for consolidation is efficiency, and this is recommended by New York State and by the Agricultural and Farmland Protection Board. The process to review the districts is the same whether you're doing all of the parcels in Monroe County or half of the parcels, which is what we currently have the setup. So therefore, we're saving my staff time, and we're saving resource time as well.
And through the chair, just for my curiosity, how many districts are there?
At this point, excuse me, through the chair, there are 2 districts currently. There previously were 4 districts. They've been consolidated into those 2, and now we're consolidating into 1 district.
So basically, there'll just be 1 district left.
Correct.
Thank you. No further questions.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
25-0203, authorize a contract with and accept a donation of services from the Genesee Transportation Council for the Genesee Valley Park Olmsted Arch Bridges Restoration Plan.
Moved by legislator Cruz, seconded by legislator Hasman. Is there any discussion?
Yes, and through the chair, what's the timeline for this project?
Through the chair, we hope to have a scope of work approved sometime late summer. We will go through a process that takes us a little bit over a year and hopefully concluding in March of 2027.
Thank you. No further questions.
Is there any other discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Are there any other matters to come before this committee? There being no other matters, the June 23rd, 2025 meeting of the Planning and Economic Development Committee stands adjourned. The next meeting of the Planning and Economic Development Committee will be held on Monday, July 21st, 2025.
Okay. The June 23rd, 2025 meeting of the Public Safety Committee will now come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Burgess is excused. Mr. Colby? Mr. Colby is present. Mr. Cruz? Mr. Cruz is present. Ms. DiFlorio? Ms. DiFlorio is present. Mr. Dondorfer? Mr. Dondorfer is present. Ms. Hughes-Smith? Ms. Hughes-Smith is present. Chairman Long?
Here.
Chairman Long is present. Mr. Maffucci?
Here.
Mr. Maffucci is present. Mr. Milne? Mr. Milne is present. Ms. Smith? Ms. Smith is present. Ms. Vasquez Simmons? Ms. Vasquez Simmons is present. And President Román? President Román is present.
Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Mr. Clerk, is there anyone signed up for the public forum?
There is not.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes. You have the May 20th, 2025 minutes before you. They will stand approved unless the clerk is notified of any changes by the end of the day. The next item on our agenda is new business. Mr. Clerk.
Referral 25-0216, acceptance of a grant from the New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services for the Crimes Against Revenue Program.
Moved by legislator Maffucci, second by legislator Vasquez Simmons. Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Item carries. Next item, please.
Referral 25-0218, acceptance of a grant from the New York State Canal Corporation for the New York State Canal Corporation Marine Patrol Matching Grant Program.
Moved by legislator Maffucci, second by legislator Vasquez Simmons. Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 25-0219, authorize the creation of a probation supervisor and a senior probation officer in the Department of Public Safety, Office of Probation, Community Corrections.
Moved by legislator Maffucci, seconded by legislator Vasquez Simmons. Any questions or comments? Legislator Maffucci.
Through the chair, these positions were added on recently as a result of us partnering with pretrial services for this year and continuing on forward.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Legislator Dondorfer.
Thank you, sir. Through you to the administration, kind of piggybacking on Legislator Maffucci. Can you explain, elaborate why those positions are necessary at this point?
Through the chair, as a result of probation, in particular Department of Public Safety partnering and assuming many of the responsibilities and duties of pretrial services, we would need those staff members in order to continue the good work that's done with that program. The administrator for pretrial is retiring and analyzing the pretrial platform. 50%, if not more, of the probation departments in New York State operate pretrial. So we're consolidating those services. And as a result of that, we're projecting a $300,000 surplus in funds.
Thank you. Through the chair to the administration, I'm assuming that these positions are going to be filled immediately. And do you have candidates in mind for these positions already?
Through the chair, we would look to fill them immediately. The probation officer supervisor more than likely will come from the probation ranks as well as the senior probation officer.
Thank you. Then one more follow-up question then through the chair to the administration then. If you do plan on taking current employees and moving them up, do we have the capability of filling those positions that they are vacating once that those people are promoted?
Through the chair, we recently had a probation academy that graduated a number of successful candidates. So we certainly would look to those individuals to be able to move them up to those positions, as well as any additional opportunities with our current civil service list.
Thank you. I yield.
Any other questions or comments? Legislator Maffucci.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I didn't have my mic on when I asked my question. I'm not going to repeat the question, but I just want to say this, that enhancing public safety is a really good idea, and I'm glad you're doing this. Thank you very much.
Any other questions or comments? Legislator DiFlorio.
Thank you. Through the chair to the administration, just kind of follow up on Legislator Maffucci's question. So if these positions weren't allocated in the budget last year, where's the funding for these positions coming from?
Through the chair, pretrial services has a budget allocation from the state of New York of $900,000. And we would use those funding, that funding mechanism to cover those costs.
Thank you. So through the chair to the administration, if you hadn't created these positions, what would that funding have been utilized for?
Through the chair, additional funding would be, or this funding would also be used to ensure that pretrial staff that we've offered employment opportunities with under this new reorganizational plan will be paid through those services, as well as service providers that come in to work with our pretrial clients.
I'm sorry. So through the chair to the administration, I'm just trying to follow all of this. So you currently have enough money in that pool or pocket of funding that you are able to cover these costs right now? Is that my takeaway on this? I'm so sorry. I'm not.
Through the chair, that's correct. So we're utilizing the current funding mechanism for pretrial and, if you will, moving that over to the reorganization of the operation, assuming responsibility for current employees. They've been offered positions, as well as the two additional staff members that we're proposing in this referral. And that still gives us the ability to have money left over.
Thank you. I yield.
Legislator Hughes-Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to the administration. Couple questions. Do we currently have any vacancies in probation?
Through the chair, yes, we do.
Do you know how many, through you, Mr. Chairman, to the administration, how many vacancies do we have in probation?
An estimate is at 20, but I can give you an exact number.
That'd be great. Thank you. I am trying to understand everything you've said. So you're looking to immediately move some probationary staff into these new roles. And you want to add a position, but we don't have enough staff currently in probation. Is that correct?
Through the chair. So yes, we do have vacancies, but we monitor all of the caseloads that are assigned to these probation officers or personnel. We're currently within compliance. And we've been able to meet our guiding principles associated with properly serving our clients.
No doubt. I guess that's not really the focus of my questions. The funding for these new positions, I understood you to say was coming from pre-trial services. So, which you said was coming from the state. So are these positions impacting the Monroe County, like our budget, or are these additional dollars coming to us from the state? Does that make sense? But didn't he just say that it's coming from the state?
To clarify, to the chair, to clarify that prior response, one confusing aspect of this is the program is pretrial services. The company that currently delivers that program is also named Pretrial Services Corporation. Monroe County receives funding from New York State for the Pretrial Services Program, for which Monroe County contracts with Pretrial Services Corporation. The Department of Public Safety, by essentially insourcing this service, will use appropriations currently in the adopted budget for that contract to instead support their additional staff. I hope that clarifies. Thank you.
I think so. So to clarify, you're currently spending money on a contract, but you're looking to move these positions internally, and hence you want to fund those internal positions. Is that correct?
Through the chair, yes, it is.
So what is there any additional cost? Or are we saving money by making this shift?
Through the chair, under this reorganizational plan, it's estimated that we will have $300,000 left over.
And 300,000 left over from the contract this year that you're not going to use.
So as a result of that, we would be able to pay for the administrative services that we'll be providing as a result of the funding that we get.
Is Mr. Franklin able to help us out a little bit more with the financial implications of this shift?
Through the chair, our contract with Pretrial Services Corporation, if I may speak in round numbers,
Please.
is roughly $1 million. The Department of Public Safety has determined by essentially insourcing the delivery of pretrial services can do so more efficiently. And the quote, savings from the contract will be can be reinvested into delivering more services, a different type of purchasing materials to deliver additional essential services, and for absorbing public safety's administrative costs of providing the program itself.
Excellent. Thank you so very much. I yield.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Are there any other matters to come before this committee? There being no other matters, the June 23rd, 2025 meeting of the Public Safety Committee stands adjourned. The next meeting of the Public Safety Committee will be held on Tuesday, July 22nd, 2025 at 5:30 p.m.
The June 23rd, 2025 meeting of the Transportation Committee will now come to order. I'm standing in for our Chairman Burgess. So will the clerk please call the roll?
Ms. Bonnick.
Here.
Ms. Bonnick is present. Chairman Burgess is excused. Mr. Colby.
Here.
Mr. Colby is present. Mr. Florio.
Here.
Mr. Florio is present. Mr. Frazier.
Here.
Mr. Frazier is present. Ms. Hughes-Smith.
Here.
Ms. Hughes-Smith is present. Mr. Keller. Mr. Keller is present. President Román. President Román is present.
Is there anyone signed up for the public forum?
No, there is not.
Is there anyone present who's not signed up to speak who would like to address the committee at this time? Please. I don't know what our procedure is.
Yep. You will have 2 minutes at which to address the committee. Also, please do not bring up any signs or props. Do not sing out any legislator individually, and please conclude when the buzzer sounds.
Hello, my name is Ronald Garro. I noticed the flag still isn't flying outside, the Haudenosaunee flag, so I stopped by to address that again. So I'd like to address the Haudenosaunee flag and the county solely recognizing Indigenous Peoples Day. I'd like to say that I grew up here in Rochester and I received a colonized Eurocentric education. I was taught about Columbus and that he discovered America and learned all about the voyages and the names of the ships and how brave and courageous he was and all that. But what they did not teach us in the classroom was about the kidnapping, rape, murder, sex trafficking, stealing of gold. And when I was young and I was in class, I even asked, why do we say that he discovered America when there's millions of people already living here? And I was told that he discovered it for the New World. And I never really realized how racist that was to teach that something isn't discovered until the first white person shows up. And that was really tough. So every person knows all the names of the ships of the Columbus's voyages, but very few people know about whose original land they are living on, and that this land was stolen and brutally taken with force. They didn't learn about the forced displacement, Sullivan's campaign, residential boarding schools, which is the United States government and Catholic Church kidnapping Indigenous children, where they were murdered, raped, and beaten for over 100 years. We didn't learn about the American genocide and reservations, which inspired Hitler. And so I'm just asking for county to drop the slash and to solely recognize Indigenous Peoples Day and to fly the flag of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy out front solely and full time. And this would be a step in the right direction to right the wrongs that have been done to Indigenous people since colonization began. Thank you. Now I'll go. I want to go out here.
Thank you. Okay. The next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes. You have the May 20th, 2025 minutes of the Transportation Committee before you. They will stand approved unless the clerk is notified of any changes by the end of the day. The next item on the agenda is new business, Madam Clerk.
Referral 25-0209, authorize an intermunicipal agreement with the town of Brighton for the Allens Creek Road, Clover Street, Elmwood Avenue, and Westfall Road Sidewalk Extension Project, partially funded through Monroe County, appropriate committed fund balance, and authorize an interfund transfer.
Move it.
Second.
Moved by legislator Frazier, seconded by legislator Bonnet. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 25-0210, authorize an intermunicipal agreement with the town of Greece for the Flynn Road, Cun Road, Long Pond Road, and Mill Road Sidewalk Extension Project, partially funded through Monroe County, appropriate committed fund balance, and authorize an interfund transfer.
Move it.
Second.
Moved by legislator Frazier, seconded by legislator Bonnet. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 25-0211, authorize an intermunicipal agreement with the town of Pittsford for the Barker Road Sidewalk Extension Project, partially funded through Monroe County, appropriate committed fund balance, and authorize an interfund transfer.
Move it.
Second.
Moved by legislator Frazier, seconded by legislator Bonnet. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 25-0212, amend the 2025 capital budget and bond resolution 101 of 2025 to provide an increase in funding and authorize a contract with ML Cacamize Electric Corp. For construction services for the Monroe County traffic signal replacements. Ground One project in the town of Greece and city of Rochester.
Move it.
Second.
Moved by legislator Frazier, seconded by legislator Bonnet. Discussion. Legislator Colby.
Through you, Madam Chair, to the administration. Will any of the vehicle video detective systems for license plates be installed at the same time at any of these intersections? Since we're already doing work there, or are any of these intersections targeted for that project?
Through the chair, not at this time, no.
Thank you.
Anything else? Yeah. Thank you. Okay, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 25-0213, authorize an annual resolution granting the New York State Department of Transportation authority to perform adjustments to Monroe County-owned facilities within state rights-of-way.
Move it.
Second.
Moved by legislator Frazier, second by legislator Bonnet. Is there any discussion? Yes, legislator DiFlorio.
Thank you. Through the chair to the administration, the referral mentions that the state is accepting financial responsibility for all work done on county property. Does this signify that the employees doing the work will be state DOT, or will county DOT be doing the work itself?
Through the chair, it will either be New York State DOT personnel or a contractor that they hire. Monroe County employees will not be there.
Thank you. I yield.
Okay.
Madam Chair, to the administration, I have a question here. If this is intended to cover the 2025 calendar year, why are we getting this referral 6 months into the year?
Through the chair, when New York State DOT first approached us, that when we started the process for this particular resolution. So I couldn't act upon anything until I first heard about it from New York State DOT.
Okay, thank you. I yield.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 25-0214, authorize the alteration of a highway lighting power point location and utility grid tie tie-in of the Monroe County lighting system by the New York State Department of Transportation during the New York Route 33A Chili Avenue over the Erie Canal Bridge Replacement Project in the town of Gates.
Move it.
Second.
Moved by legislator Frazier, seconded by legislator Bonnet. Is there any discussion?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Yes, Legislator Bonnet.
Through the chair to the administration, I have a question. Where will the lighting power pole and utility grid tied to be moved to? Do you need me to repeat that question?
No, through the chair, if I understand correctly, I wouldn't know that because I'm not privy to this actual construction. My resolution is just basically granting New York State DOT allowance to touch our facilities and repair them as needed based on whatever they need to relocate. I have yet to see what exactly the plans are, where the PowerPoints are.
Okay, thank you. Through the chair, I have an additional question. Will this be a temporary thing to be relocated back once the road work is completed?
Through the chair, they were relocated out of their way and it will stay there until we have need to repair it in the future. It won't be relocated back.
Okay, thank you. I yield.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 25-0215, authorize the alteration of Monroe County fiber and lighting systems by the New York State Department of Transportation during the New York State I-490 improvement project in the town of Gates.
Move it.
Second.
Moved by legislator Frazier, seconded by legislator Bonnet. Is there any discussion? There's Sinclair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you, Madam Chair, to the administration. I'm just looking for relative timing. There's a bridge project over Chili Avenue. There's the I-490 improvement project in the town of Gates. Just looking for any information about coordination between the two projects with respect to timing, just to minimize disruption.
Through the chair, I'll have to get back to you on that. As stated prior, these are New York State DOT projects. They're not county projects.
Right.
So I'd have to look into that.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I yield the floor.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Are there any other matters to come before this committee? There being no other matters, the June 23rd, 2025 meeting of the Transportation Committee stands adjourned. The next meeting of the Transportation Committee will be held on Tuesday, July 22nd, 2025 at 5:15 p.m.
The June 23rd, 2025 meeting of the Ways and Means Committee will now come to order. Will the clerk please read the roll?
Ms. Barnhart. Ms. Barnhart is present. Mr. Baynes.
Here.
Mr. Baynes is present. Ms. Bartholomew McCoy.
Here.
Ms. Bartholomew McCoy is present. Mr. Brew. Mr. Brew is present. Mr. Colby. Mr. Colby is present. Mr. Dondorfer. Mr. Dondorfer is present. Mr. Keller. Mr. Keller is present. Chairman Maffucci.
Here.
Chairman Maffucci is present. Ms. Smith. Ms. Smith is present. Ms. Vasquez Simmons.
Here.
Ms. Vasquez Simmons is present. Mr. Udelson. Mr. Udelson is present.
Will Legislator Keller please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Legislator Keller. Are there any speakers signed up for the public forum?
There is not.
Is there anyone here who would like to address the committee at this time? Okay, at this time, we'll have a presentation by Mr. Randy Shepard, independent auditor from Bonadio and Company. Mr. Shepard.
Thank you. Good evening. Randy Shepard, I'm the audit partner with Bonadio and Company, and I've been doing the audit of the county's financial statements for a number of years. So I'm here to present to you, and I think this was given to you in advance of the meeting, a letter addressed to the county legislature, which is called a required communications letter summarizing the audit. And again, thank you for your time tonight. I do want to start off by thanking Robert Franklin and his staff, namely Jennifer Cesario and Chris Kovacek, who we deal with primarily through the audit process. They provided us everything we needed and got through the audit process. We did issue an unmodified or clean opinion on the financial statements of the county, which is important. That is the highest level of assurance that an auditor can give for you. And then we are currently working on both the single audit and the New York State single audit, which will be completed in the next couple months. So in terms of the required communications letter, just touching on a few items in here. The first of which is that the county did adopt a new accounting standard this year related to compensated absences, GASB 101. I've been talking about this the past couple of years when I came up here. The impact was an increase to the liability for that by about 31 million across both the governmental activities and the business type. No impact at all to the fund level financial statements. So this is the financial statements that include all of your assets, all of your liabilities and debt, things that primarily the bondholders and things would look at. So it doesn't impact you from a cash perspective. Your cash outlays still remain the same. From an estimate perspective, there are a few estimates within the county's financial statements. The most significant of which are the OPEB, which is other post-employment benefits obligation. That's actuarially driven, and that measures the estimated amount of cost to fund that obligation to retirees. There's an allowance related to an estimate for the allowance for uncollectible accounts based on taxes for bankruptcies, tax surcharges, et cetera. There is also an estimate related to the net pension liability or asset, which is your proportionate share of the state pension system's pension plan that is picked up on your books. And then lastly, the compensated absences obligation that I mentioned as well. So we look at all those estimates, make sure that they're reasonable, make sure that they're in accordance with the recommended guidelines, and they were. There are two what we consider sensitive disclosures, only because they're actuarially based in your financial statements, and those are the pension and the OPEB that I mentioned, because small changes in those actuarial calculations can impact those numbers substantially. As I said at the outset, the audit went well, so we had no difficulties encountered in performing the audit. We did have two adjustments that were recommended and recorded by management as part of our audit process, both in the general fund. One of them was to accrue a payable related to Ontario Bus Service, just a timing of when that invoice came in and when it was recorded. And then lastly, to accrue some receivable related to sales tax in the general fund. So those two items were booked. And we had no other adjustments. We had no disagreements with management as part of the audit process. And as I said, we did issue these statements on May 20th, well in advance of the required deadline for that. And we're not aware that there's any opinion shopping from management throughout the audit process, which is important as well. And then, lastly, management will contact us throughout the year. Those discussions are not a condition of our retention. They're just part of the normal course of operations for the audit process. And with that pretty much covers the overall information.
Thank you, Mr. Shepherd. Are there any questions?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Legislator Baynes.
I'd like to commend Mr. Shepherd on his presentation and point out that it's wholly a product of his competence and skill and not a result of his being a former student of mine. So thank you, Mr. Shepherd.
Through the chair, you're welcome.
Wow. I do have one question. So basically, what are the three most important things you'd like the public to know about the county's finances?
Yeah, thank you for the question. That's a good question. So essentially, I think what's important for the public to focus on is the type of opinions that have been provided on the county's financial statements historically. I know since we've been involved in the financial statements, they've all been unmodified or clean opinions. And even prior to us, I'm not aware that there was not an unqualified opinion. So that's the first one. Secondly, I think it's important to look at the trend information in the financial statements. What has happened over time. That's always a good indicator of where things are trending. And then lastly, I think looking at the bond ratings that you receive. An audit is interesting. An audit, we're considered historians. We're always looking at what happened. We're looking at the past. When you talk about the bond agencies, they're looking at both past as well as their projections of economic trends in the future. And so they're using that information to provide a bond rating so that as you issue debt. So I think if you look at those things and the public looks at those things, that's a very good indicator of where you stand.
Thank you. Any other questions? Well, thank you once again. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes. You have the minutes from the May 2025 meeting before you. They stand approved unless the clerk is notified of any changes by the end of the day. The next item on the agenda is new business. Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to move that we consider the agenda as a whole with the exception of items number 217 and 219.
Moved by legislator Udelson, seconded by legislator Smith. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Referral 25-0217, acceptance of a gift from the United Way of Greater Rochester for Monroe County's Child Poverty Reduction Initiative, Project Prosper.
Second. Okay, moved by legislator Vasquez Simmons, seconded by legislator Bartholomew McCoy and legislators Smith. Is there any discussion? Legislator Barnard.
Yes, thank you. I see that this donation was necessary for the state law 18 NYCRR 300.11. I have that law open. Can you explain why we needed this private donation in order for this program to take place? I'm not seeing where that's required.
Good afternoon, Denise Reed from Monroe County DSS. Through the chair, I don't have that regulation in front of me. It might reference demonstration projects.
Yes, it does.
So demonstration projects are allowed by those regulations, but there are additional USDA regulations that require that for income to be exempt as a part of a demonstration project for the SNAP program, that it must have a combination of public and private funding. And so that's the requirement that we're trying to meet with this funding.
Totally understand. Thank you. I yield.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Referral 25-0219, authorize the creation of a probation supervisor and a senior probation officer in the Department of Public Safety, Office of Probation, Community Corrections.
Second. Moved by legislator Vasquez Simmons, seconded by legislator Bartholomew McCoy. Is there any discussion? Legislator Barnard.
Yes, thank you. These are questions that weren't asked in the Public Safety Committee. The pretrial services, you referred to it as a company during the Public Safety Committee meeting, but it's really a nonprofit, right? That's been doing, and it's run by the Bar Association. It's been doing this for quite some time. Through the chair.
Through the chair, the pretrial services, from what I'm familiar with, has been endorsed by the Bar Association. And we've had a working relationship for many years with them. I don't know their status as far as nonprofit or not.
Through the chair to the administration, did pretrial services, were they in charge of electronic monitoring?
Through the chair, pretrial services does have a component of electronic monitoring, but not solely the supplier of that.
Through the chair to the administration, back in September, I wrote a letter to the administration asking for detailed information about electronic monitoring after a series of incidents that were in the news media about suspects wearing electronic monitoring
and court cases in which judges noted deficiencies in the program. I'm just curious as to whether, and you never responded to me, and I'm just curious as to whether those deficiencies that were highlighted in numerous media reports had anything to do with this change.
Through the chair, I'm only going to be able to respond to half the question because I wasn't able to understand the second part. The first part of the question in regards to your letter that was submitted, I don't have any recollection of that. I'm not saying it wasn't submitted, but I don't have any recollection of what the response was or who it was directed to.
Okay, thank you. Through the chair to the administration, let me ask a different way then. I understand the cost things from bringing, and I think this is probably a good idea. Trying to get more to the why you're making this big change, and it is a big change. I don't know if my, okay. And if this had anything to do with any problems and concerns with the performance of pretrial services, considering all of the things that we saw in the news.
Through the chair, one of the philosophies associated with moving this proposal forward is the fact that in many instances, the individuals being served by pretrial will automatically have a direct connection to probation services and to probation personnel, since so many of these individuals subsequently are assigned to our caseload. So that relationship and working perspective is already in place. And as I mentioned earlier, over half of the probation departments in New York State do have a relationship like this with pretrial services.
Thank you. Yes, I'm aware. And that's why I wrote my letter back in September, because I was getting, I was concerned by what we were seeing and what judges were saying about the limitations of the monitoring. So I think this is probably a very good idea. I'm curious, one other question. Was there any analysis written about making a report written about making this change to bring it in-house?
Through the chair.
Through the chair.
Through the chair. There was an analysis done, conversations and discussions were held with the existing provider. The Monroe County Bar Association had discussions with our leadership team as well as the executive board, and recognizing that we had the ability to move forward with this in what we believe to be a positive direction, and none of the constituents or stakeholders that I mentioned had any objection to it.
And just one final question. You mentioned that some of the current staff of pretrial services could end up working for Monroe County, doing similar work.
Through the chair.
Through the chair.
Through the chair, yes, I did mention that.
Okay, thank you. I yield.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Are there any other matters to come before this committee? Seeing none, there being no other matters, the June 2025 meeting of the Ways and Means Committee stands adjourned. The next meeting of the Ways and Means Committee will be held on Tuesday, July 22nd, 2025 at 6 p.m.